Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Abigail Opiah and we are at the Tech Capital's APAC Finance Forum. The event has so far brought together some leading voices in the finance, technology and investment space. And one of those leading voices is Oliver Curtis, co-CEO of Firmus Technologies. Thank you so much for joining me today. How has your overall experience been at the forum so far?
Yeah, it's excellent. I mean, I think that it's very important to get a breadth of both finance and industry together in a room to talk about, what's happening at the coalface. So certainly today's been very insightful and very good.
Nice. And as co-CEO, how do you and your leadership team envision positioning NeoCloud in a competitive global cloud landscape?
Look, it's a good question. I mean, we have very much differentiated ourselves through thinking about what we call base layer differently, right? So the bottom of the stack. NeoClouds play in different areas, from top of stack, which is software optimization, and what we've concentrated on is, physicality of kind of data center design and optimization that gives us a competitive advantage. So we certainly play the long game, centered around sustainability. Sustainability comes through, where we position our clusters close to renewable energy, but most importantly through the proprietary kind of cooling systems that we've got that allows us to operate at somewhere between 30 to 50% less operating cost, and a sustainable data center design also leads to substantially lower capital costs. So ultimately, our point of difference is built based off an engineering 101 at the base layer rather than the top. Yet it's still very important for us with operational excellence in the cluster and making sure our customers are happy at the software layer, virtualization layer. So yeah, it's a whole gambit of verticalization that we believe is the point of difference.
And I heard you on your panel discuss about stable government. Tell me, what about Australia makes it such a good place, other than stable government, what about it makes it such a good place for people, especially tech giants, to come in and build?
Yeah, look, I think, as I kind of mentioned in the panel, I mean, there's two major component costs that go into an AI factory. Firstly, it's effectively your co-location charge or your rate to rent the data center that you either have built yourself or somebody else has built on their balance sheet. And secondarily, it's your energy cost, right? So what Australia has, which is not necessarily well known, being a tier one country in the Western world, we have a relatively weak currency that in turn gives us kind of a capital and an operating cost advantage. So our energy policy is we're a net exporter of energy. We have quite a large amount of energy and renewable-based energy in Australia that leads to quite a low energy charge. In turn, at the same time, our abundance of land means that in this wave of investment, which is, as Jensen eloquently puts it, AI doesn't care where it goes to school, it's easier to move the factory to the electrons and then distribute knowledge out through photons, because the fibre connectivity, as Bevan's articulated, is very good. So Australia's competitive advantage sits in its cost advantage, realistically. And yeah, obviously it's very important for governments' stability and policy to be centred on capturing that opportunity, but really there's a fundamental cost advantage that Australia brings to the table that I think is going to bode well for the future.
We spoke a bit about AI and machine learning. How is NeoCloud designed to support these data-heavy applications?
Well, look, I think the NeoCloud industry is probably not very well understood. I mean, by definition, I think there's, last count, somewhere between 140 and 150 NeoClouds with varying success. I think that realistically, the wave of this investment is centered around large-scale infrastructure build-out. And so if you go to kind of a top-tier NeoCloud category, it is important that the facility itself is built correctly to give that competitive cost advantage, that in turn then is with a team that can use top-of-stack tools to allow access to not just the very large wholesale style off-takers, but all the way through to sovereign and enterprise access. So I think a well-structured NeoCloud that gets the ability to stand up very substantial amounts of this capacity, that then in turn has the skills and the funding to have the right engineering team that builds platforms, that's a flow-on effect to industry, because if you're building it in a sovereign nation, then that education can go through to sovereign capacity into government, and then from there it can flow back down into enterprise. So it's really important that I think NeoClouds think about this and are set up in a way that is very much thinking forward, not short term. There's too many people trying to make money, not enough people trying to actually build legacy.
Yeah. And speaking of building legacy, I think having sustainability in the forefront of most companies' agenda is something that is, number one, picking up momentum. How do you, at your firm, your company stand in the race to make sure that we are doing all our bits to society to make sure that we're green from 100%. The rooter to the tutor?
Look, I came from the mining industry, right? And so your social license to operate is your number one most important thing, right? And so literally founded the business, and it was always centered around sustainability. Nice. We had only one vision, and that was to create the most efficient AI infrastructure. And in doing so, that meant that it had to be based off renewable energy, and it had to be with a point of difference at the base layer, because that meant we could save energy, have a better design, have a lower PUE, and our customers would be happy because we could serve up AI in a cheaper form. I think what's so important is that sustainability comes in multiple facets, and I think that if it's designed and built correctly, the end user wins, right? Because if you have built the cluster in an area that has got access to cheap renewable energy, two, if you build it in a sustainable way that has a point of differentiation, that you're using best-in-class technology that can lower the waste energy, right, as in have points of difference in the cooling, then what that does is that gives an ability to be able to give a cheaper price to the end customers, yet still maintain margin as a business. And so I think sustainability has to be thought about both across the physicality side and the energy side, but importantly, sustainability is long-term business. And so unless you're built correctly from the foundations from a cost-based point of view, your business won't sustain for 10 to 20 years or however long you want this industry to live. So we are solely passionate about sustainability at Firmus.
And other than sustainability, what else are you passionate about? What trends currently gets you excited?
Sovereign AI, very much so. I talked about this previously, that there are going to be haves and have-nots, and I think that there is an immense race to build gigawatts worth of clusters, and hundreds of thousands, if not millions, worth of these GPUs in one. And I think that it's, I believe, our responsibility as an Australian-founded business to make sure Australia able to capture that opportunity, because forever and a day Australia's been fantastic at building large-scale infrastructure. We've got one of the largest mining industries in the world. We're great because it's got such vast land. We've got great highways and fantastic base infrastructure. That's what makes us a top-tier nation with only 25 million people. So from my point of view, I think that what gets me out of bed every day is making sure that we don't miss this opportunity. And realistically, we create an entire new industry that can be hundreds of billions of dollars for generations to come, that has flow-on effects to education and governments. Nice. So bit of a long play for Australia, but
hey, you love your country.
Yeah.
I love that though, and it is important, and it's not like you're lying. Like everyone can see how the market is thriving. I've covered several stories in the region, and I can also see that it's leading the way. So.
No,
very good. My last question for you is, if you were to project 10 years into the future, what would the headline achievement you'd like your company to be known for?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
Well, I think, certainly leading the way in sustainability, in sustainable green AI tokens. Okay. I want our business to be known as the tortoise in the tortoise and the hare, because we took the long game and we built the foundation layer correct from the beginning. And in turn, when it filters out that there might be ebbs and flows in capital markets, and realistically, I look at our business as a commodity producer because we produce AI tokens. Making sure, from a mining background, making sure you're in the lowest cost quartile means you have a long-term sustainable business, so you can ride the cyclicality of the output of the commodity. So I'd hope in 10 years' time people would look at Firmus and say that we got it right from the beginning, and we are by far the largest, or one of the largest producers of AI tokens in the world, exporting it from Australia to Asia and beyond.
I hope we watch this back in 10 years
Yes,
and we've
exactly.
achieved just that. That
Thank
sounds
you very
good.
much.
But Oliver, thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you.
And for you at home, don't forget, you can catch the latest news on the Tech Capital's website. At Tech Capital, you lead, we report. See you soon.